This is learning Sefer Olam HaAvodah, day 4. The learning today is for Refuah Shleima of HaRav Yoshiayhu Pinto, Shlita. Yoshiayhu and also for Refuah Shleima, the success of the surgery of Yossi ben Rachel. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So when a person performs a mitzvah, the Chofetz Chaim says, he creates an angel who is like his child. As Rashi states at the beginning of Parshas Noach, a person's good deeds are considered his offspring. Just as in this world, a person basks in the joy of in pride of having children around this table, so too in the next world he will bask in the presence of the angels he created, and will love them dearly. Only angels created from mitzvahs, but from Lishmah, for their sake, are allowed to enter the Olam HaAvodah. However, angels born of incest, Shelo, Lishmah, are only allowed to go to the gates of heaven, but they're stopped at the border. In this way, the Gemara in Pesachim 50b notes an apparent contradiction between the two psukim, one of which declares Tehillim 57:11, Ki gadol ad shayin chastecho, for great until the very heavens is your kindness, while the other pasuk in Tehillim says, chapter 108 verse 5, Ki gadol mi al shamayim chastecho, for great above the very heavens is your kindness. Gemara reconciles the contradiction by explaining that the first verse refers to the mitzvahs on Shelo Lishmah, meaning that at the chesed of Hashem goes only until the heavens when mitzvahs on Lishmah, but it goes above the heavens when mitzvahs on Lishmah. So this insight of the Chofetz Chaim sheds light on some enigmatic words we daven each day. Who yiftach livinu b'yisrael yasei yasnu livinu b'avasi yarasei Allah tzitzaynei v'lotei Shalom l'man lo yinigal l'orik v'lo yinei le'behola v'sinu u'v'alitzion. May He open our heart through His Torah and imbue our heart with love and awe of Him, that we may do His will and serve Him wholeheartedly, so that we do not toil in vain or give birth for futility. In light of what we have learned so far, we can readily understand the words so that we not toil in vain. Since the purpose of Torah mitzvahs is closest in connection to Hashem, how we study Torah and do mitzvahs makes all the difference in the world. If we approach them mindlessly, by rote, without any love or awe, then they can be considered in vain. For we could have accomplished 1,000,000 times more with the time and effort we invested. What do the words "lo yinei le'behala" mean? What do the words "nor give birth for utility" mean? Perhaps they're expressing precisely what the Chofetz Chaim taught us. With every mitzvah we perform, we give birth to precious angels. But will these angels accompany us and sit around our table in Olam HaAvodah, or will they be blocked from entry into the gates? That depends on whether we serve Hashem with love and awe, the two forms of Lishmah, or if we serve them thoughtlessly or for ulterior motives. We therefore daven each day fervently to Hashem to open our hearts with service, so that the angels to which we give birth are not relegated to futility. And now, let's begin the section for day 4, defining Lishmah. If one serves Hashem solely to be rewarded or to avoid punishment, that is certainly not considered Lishmah. So what is considered Lishmah? The Rambam, in the introduction to the Mishnayos, into the Parish of Mishnayos, at the end of Makos, I believe. Yes, at the end of Makos, and in Hilchos Shuvah, chapter 10, Halacha 2, he defines Lishmah as serving Hashem out of love. We would like to bravely expand his definition, although we must continuously bear in mind that our end goal is unquestionably to serve Hashem out of love. Okay. We saw earlier in chapter 1 that we are supposed to approach Torah mitzvahs as a vehicle toward connection with Hashem, and we must therefore focus on infusing our actions with thought and feeling, kavanah. We need not take Olam HaAvodah off our radar, but we should understand what Olam HaAvodah is and attempt to create a miniature Olam HaAvodah here in this world. We can suggest that if a person approaches a mitzvah with this attitude, looking to become closer to Hashem through it, then even if the love is not yet present, his act is already considered Lishmah. After all, the word Lishmah literally means for its own sake, literally for its name. And this person is doing the mitzvah for its own purpose, which is here Elikim. This expanded definition of Lishmah is implied in the words of the Bach and Orach Chaim, Simon 47, who defines Torah Lishmah as Torah learned with the goal of attaining Kiras Elikim. Support for this idea can be found in the aforementioned Mishnah in Pirkei Avos 6:1 that teaches that a person who learns Torah Lishmah is Zeicha with Harbe. He merits many things, one of which is Oyevas HaMakom. He loves his Hashem. In other words, a person who learns Torah Lishmah merits to love Hashem through the power of the Torah. Now, if love of Hashem is a prerequisite of learning Lishmah, then this is an attribute that he already possesses. It may be then that just the fact that he's seeking to love and draw close to Hashem already classifies his efforts as Lishmah. Imagine. In any event, regardless of whether a person who is not presently serving Hashem out of love, but is looking for that connection, is already considered to be acting with Lishmah, approaching each mitzvah as a means towards closeness to Hashem seems to be the necessary path to reaching Avas Hashem, love of Hashem, and attaining all the spiritual levels we are in this world to achieve. By doing so, you'll ultimately reach Kirvas Elikim, which incorporates in it love of Hashem. Now, Shaloi Lishmah is a stepping stone. Now that we see clearly that the importance of Lishmah, what it is, we must certainly invest effort into infusing our Avodas Hashem with heart and meaning, or with more heart and meaning. This will empower our Torah and mitzvahs to bring us to the great levels to which they are capable of catapulting us. Why, you may wonder, do you need to put any effort into elevating your Torah and mitzvahs? As long as you're doing what you should be doing, even with the intentions that are less than stellar, aren't you guaranteed that the result will become on its own? As Chazal and Pesachim 50b teach. A person should always engage in the study of Torah and the performance of mitzvahs, even though it's not for its own sake. Because from learning Torah and performing a mitzvah, not Lishmah, he'll eventually come to learn Torah and perform mitzvah, Lishmah. So shouldn't that, what's that called, be like our guarantor? Or like a Ride Hope Safe card or whatever it is? Like whatever, okay. Get out jail free card, there you go. So, if we take a look at the reality, this does not actually appear to be the case. How many people, perhaps ourselves included, learn Torah and perform mitzvahs for decades and yet still are stuck with this very same Shelo Lishmah they had at the outset? Sometimes, unfortunately, we become even less passionate and altruistic over time, as our initial excitement wanes. What happens to Chazal's promise of reaching Lishmah through a consistent Torah Lishmah? The answer must be that Chazal, we're not saying that one who serves Hashem Shelo Lishmah will automatically come to serve Hashem Lishmah. No, a person needs to put emphasis and effort into this endeavor of achieving Lishmah. Similarly, we are taught that involvement in Torah perfects our character. Yet unfortunately, there are those who learn Torah, but unfortunately have less than pristine midas. Answer here as well is that this process is not automatic. It too takes effort and focus. The Chidah, saying the Marash Primo, quoted in Tal Eirei Siman 4, says that when Chazal say that Shelo Lishmah brings one to Lishmah, they mean that if a person is serving Shelo Lishmah, but with the goal and desire of eventually reaching Lishmah, then he is on a good path. Regarding someone who is satisfied with Shelo Lishmah and has no desire to reach Lishmah, Chazal say, wow, it's very strong language here. Anyone who practices not for the Torah's sake, it would be better for him if he had not been even created. If so, you may ask, what did Chazal mean when they said that a person should always engage in Torah and mitzvahs, even Shelo Lishmah? It appears that they were cautioning us that until we reach the level of Lishmah, we need to continue serving Hashem Shelo Lishmah. Since Lishmah is so important, a person may think that he should not perform mitzvah if it is Shelo Lishmah. Perhaps he's better off training himself to do the mitzvah properly and waiting until he's ready to do Lishmah. So, okay. But to dispel that notion, Chazal instructed us to always perform the mitzvahs, even Shelo Lishmah. Why? Because that is the best way to reach Lishmah. Once the person is accustomed to performing mitzvahs, he has a framework and structure within which to constantly try to instill more fervor into his mitzvahs, and then to bring them closer to Lishmah. Here's a more common practical application of the idea. A young man is offered money for every page of Gemara he's tested on. Although this will help motivate him to learn more and better, he may think that it is more important to learn Lishmah, and perhaps he should forego the additional learning in favor of keeping all his learning Lishmah. Chazal therefore advise him, no, it's better to increase your Torah learning now, and then later infuse that learning with Lishmah. If we pay closer attention to these words of Chazal, we see how crucial Lishmah is to Avodas Hashem. At first glance, the statement appears to be a leniency, as if to say, don't worry so much about Lishmah. Upon closer consideration, however, we see that Chazal did not simply instruct us to perform the mitzvahs, even Shelo Lishmah, because even though Lishmah is ideal, Shelo Lishmah is also fine. On the contrary, they said that Shelo Lishmah is valuable only because it brings a person toward Lishmah. This means that if a person remains stuck on Shelo Lishmah his entire life, he's really missed the point of life. And that's why he says, but he wasn't created at all. Indeed, the Michtav Meliyahu, volume 3, page 334, writes that the statement of Chazal should be understood as a condition. If the person utilizes Shalom Lishmah to ultimately reach Lishmah, then all his efforts to Lishmah were worthwhile. But if not, Chas v'Shalom, then the Shalom Lishmah was in vain. Reading all this, you might feel a sense of despair. So, you wonder, all these years I've been learning Torah and performing mitzvah Shalom Lishmah, without the intention of working toward Lishmah, they've been a waste? Chas v'Shalom to think such a thing. First, as we saw in Rambam, when a person performs numerous mitzvahs, among them will undoubtedly be a precious diamonds of those that were done Lishmah. But moreover, all those years of Shalom Lishmah are incredibly valuable practice toward the avodah of infusing our mitzvahs with the meaning of Lishmah. Due to our persistent efforts, the daily routine is in place, and the structure of our Torah and mitzvahs exists. Now, we just need to infuse our actions with the intent of becoming closer to Hashem. If we do so, then we will have elevated everything we have done in our lives previously, Shalom Lishmah, into stepping stones towards the ultimate goal of Lishmah. That's the end of the section for day 4. Thank you so much for watching.